But then she said the meat was the best she's ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Like they had it for dinner and she's like, oh my
Okay, I
gosh,
can
it's so good.
Okay, we are on the air. I'll call the
Okay.
Londonderry Planning Board meeting for August 9th, 2023. I want to point out for everyone who is here that this room has two exits. They're on the right-hand side of the audience, they're at the front of the room and the back of the room. If you have to evacuate for any reason, we ask you to proceed through the exit closest to you. Go outside. Don't come back in until our fire officials have instructed us to do so. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise and pledge allegiance to the American flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everyone. We don't have any of our ex officios here tonight, and Jeff is not here yet. I'll appoint Jason to vote for Jeff until he arrives, if he does arrive. So that gives us 6 voting members. We have a quorum, and we can proceed with this meeting. Tonight, we have administrative board work to complete, where we got our business done. We have several things to do there. We have a continued public hearing in regards to the lot line adjustment, and then 2 conceptual discussion plans. So we'll go to administrative board work, approval of minutes, July 5th, 2023. I'll take those in case someone wants to abstain and do something different on the 12th minutes.
So move on the 5th, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, motion by Al, second by Jake, for approval of the minutes of July 5th, 2023. Any questions from the board? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions? And chair votes affirmative.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the minutes of the 12th of July.
Second.
Okay, motion by Al for the approve the minutes of July 12th, second by Jake. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions? And
Abstaining.
the record show that Al has abstained, and chair votes affirmative, and the minutes of July 12th, 2023 carry and are approved. Regional impact determinations, we do not have any. And I'll go to our capable staff for discussions with staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have 3 lot merger applications for your signature this evening. The first is for Constance Drive, number 7 and 13A. The second is for Young Road, number 20 and 22, which is actually part of the recently approved Winnie Estates subdivision.
Oh, yes.
And then the third is 29 and 31 Hemlock.
Okay. What I'll do, I'll take a motion for all 3, and that motion would be for the chair to sign those 3 lot line mergers.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Al, second by Jake. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions? Chair votes affirmative, and I will be signing those. We have, was it an extension request, Kelly?
Not this evening, Mr. Chair. I just
Oh.
had a couple of items I wanted to bring to the board's attention. The first is that I will have a couple of zoning amendments coming forward this fall. The first is quite simple. It's just updating our building code to 2018, which is what the state follows. So that's more of like an administrative change. And the second is related to the Route 102 and 28 overlay districts. We've reached a point where I have a document prepared for the board to review, and we can schedule a work session likely in October, maybe end of September and October to discuss. So I will be sending out the said document with the amendments and some additional information related to the amendments to the board within the next week or so to give you an opportunity to review it before we have a work session to discuss it in detail.
Okay, that'll be for September 13th.
Potentially, yes. I just want to wait and
Okay.
see what we have
Ultimate
scheduled.
one, I think September 13th is shaping up to be fairly busy.
Potentially, yeah. So I'm going to wait and see what I get. But if, latest would be the October work session, which we already have a meeting with, or a training with legal scheduled on October 11th. That's before the meeting. That's at 5:30 PM.
Yes,
So we could follow that with a work session as well, if we wanted to.
yep. Because for the 13th, I know we'll have a workshop for the CIP.
Yes, that's correct.
And then I think the continuance coming up, I think, is continued to the 13th also.
It
So
is.
that probably will be continued
We're
again.
quite busy, but
Sounds like it'll be a good one.
Okay, yeah. Anything else, Kelly?
lastly, Mr. Chair, the applicants for the conceptual discussions this evening have requested that you switch the order, if you so choose,
Okay, is there,
after you act on the continuance
is there
request.
a reason for that, or
They
they want
have,
to get in and out quickly?
they have two representatives here for the second item that
Yes.
are ready to present, and they're waiting on a second person for the first item, so they'd like to switch the order.
Okay,
Sounds fair to
everyone in
me.
agreement with that? Okay, yep. But first thing I have to do is, we have, under old business, is a public hearing on an application for a formal review of a lot line adjustment and a consolidation plan to adjust the lot line of tax map 28, lot 29-2, and consolidate with tax map 17, lot 2, and tax map 28, lot 31-6, 52 Grenier Field Road, tax map 28, lot 29-2, and 104 Grenier Field Road, tax map 17, lot 2, zone industrial 2. Londonderry Holdings LLC and Woodhaven Limited Partnership are the owners, and Ken Solinsky is the applicant. And the applicant has requested continuance to the 13th of September, 2023. And I will take a motion to grant that continuance.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Okay, motion by Al, second by Jason for, you guys are almost in
right,
harmony there.
Let him vote for one night.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, so I got a motion and a second for the continuance of, any discussion on the continuance? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, chair votes affirmative. And public notice, public hearing on an application for a formal review of lot line adjustment and consolidation plan to adjust the lot line of tax map 28, lot 29-2, and consolidate with tax map 17, lot 2, and tax map 28, lot 31-6, 52 Grenier Field Road, tax map 28, lot 29-2, and 104 Grenier Field Road, tax map 17, lot 2, zone industrial 2. Londonderry Holdings LLC and Woodhaven Limited Partnership are the owners, and Ken Solinsky is the applicant. And this has been continued to the 13th of September, 2023, at 7 PM right here. This is your only public notice. Okay, we will switch our order here. We have a conceptual discussion for a site plan to construct a parking lot for the purpose of employee parking and associated site improvements, 4 Nashua Road, tax map 10, lot 121. This is zoned commercial 2, C2. Wyndham Realty LLC is the owner, and Bill and Stephen DeLuca are the applicants. And a conceptual discussion is just a very simple discussion, exchange of ideas back and forth. There are no decisions made. There could be recommendations, but those are purely recommendations. So I need your name and addresses, please, and we will proceed.
Matt Ruthier from TF Moran.
Stephen DeLuca, Auto Auction of New England.
Good evening, board members. We are here before you to get your input as far as proposing a parking lot on what is map 10 lot 121. That would be the building that currently houses the Coldwell Banker Realty. The intent would be to enter from the smaller parking lot adjacent to the Coldwell Banker. We're here, and we would provide a cross easement between this lot to map 10, lot 118, which was the former Alamo Fireworks Building. The intent would be to request zoning relief due to the zone line between the residential zone and the commercial zone. And we would maintain the normal 15-foot buffer as typically proposed. The intent would be for cars to enter through the Coldwell Banker lot and exit out to Londonderry Road. Obviously, it's very conceptual at this point, but we wanted to get the board's input on your general feelings and flavor for the project, as well as your input on the relief we're seeking.
So who owns all this property?
They're all owned by the DeLucas
So
under
it's one-
different
one-
owners.
One
Yep.
ownership, so. What I'll do, I'll go to Kelly, we have, get input from staff, and then we'll go through the board.
Sure. So, as was mentioned, there's a potential for zoning relief. We'll have to determine that through our zoning administrator, Nick Codner, formally, but there's a question about the residential buffer and potentially the uses of the site, meaning the existing use and what the proposed use is going to be and what's conforming, what's not conforming currently. So we'll have to review that in further detail. Likely schedule a meeting with the applicant.
Oh, so there's a question about the conformity of
Yeah.
the use and everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we can certainly schedule a meeting and discuss that in further detail with the applicant and engineering and our zoning administrator. Additionally, it appears there's a shared access or an access coming from one lot onto another. So as I understand it, though, it's under the same ownership, different LLCs, but you're the owner,
Same LLC.
same LLC. And then the existing building, as I just mentioned, on 4 Nashua, what that's being used for, and if you're going to continue using that as it is today, or you're going to, what's the plan going forward for that building? And talking through that to see what's conforming and what's not. Additionally, John Trottier, our engineer, did provide some comments. The driveway permits for the Londonderry Road at Nashua Road will need to be updated. Of course, we'll need a drainage plan. The town of Derry will need to weigh in on this approval. And then we'll need to consider the percentage of lot coverage as well. That's all I have
Okay.
right now.
Yep, I'll go through the board for any comments, questions. I'll start with Ian.
I have no comments right now. I'm not seeing any issues except for the propane tank, which I'm sure will be moved, but I'm all set for now.
All set, Tony?
So, so we did a driveway through different lot lines with the shed company on both sides of the street. I think it was done eventually, same owner, but they had different LLCs or whatever, so I don't have a problem with that. But one thing I would wonder is because you're gonna have the back driveway, back access, whatever you want to call it, is it necessary then to still have the 2 curb cuts on West Broadway? I'm not asking for an answer right now. I'm just saying that could be a question that might come up. And I understand the real estate office probably needs their own and that parking lot on the side, but then again, if you're gonna snake that driveway around the back, why couldn't the real estate office use the back as well to be able to access the parking that they currently have in the front? Just a thought.
Yeah, it's definitely something we can look at.
Yeah, just a thought. Like I said, I'm not really looking for an answer today, but just thinking out loud. I have no problem with this plan. To me, I would think we need to work as hard as we can to try and make this work. I don't see much conflict at all. In that area, you have buildings, commercial buildings that are being used as commercial buildings that may or may not be in residential zones. I'm not looking at it right now, but for what there is around that site, I think we should work as hard as we can to try and make this happen for this applicant. That's my thoughts, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Lynn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess my question is, what's the need for this?
So it's additional parking for our employees. We host the auto auction on Thursdays, and one day a week, we have additional employees. They park off-site, so we're just trying to get closer off-site parking so that we can run the shuttles to pick up the employees. Less time to travel.
Because I was looking at the real estate office, I'm thinking they don't need that much parking for a real estate office.
Yeah, no, it's for the auto auction for employee, off-site employee parking.
Okay, I guess I'm good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Al?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Jake?
I'm good. I mean, looking at it, it looks like kind of that whole block, Kelly, is C2 by the looks of it, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah, it's all C2.
Yeah, so I don't have any problems with it.
Jason?
I mean, looking at it,
Excuse me.
looking at it in Google Maps, it looks like everything around there is commercial, except there's one house. So you're just gonna be cognizant of, looks like their backyard kind of butts up close to that property. But, I mean, other than that, I think it's fine, so.
Okay. Roger?
I agree with everybody else. Looks good.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Ian?
Which direction will the vehicles enter will they have assigned spaces or anything like that? Will they be going in the Londonderry Road entrance and coming out the 102 entrance or exit? I would think that would, if they're going towards,
The
you know.
thought was,
because I see an issue leaving from Londonderry Road onto 102 sometimes when it's busy,
Yeah,
when the
so-
traffic is heavy.
The thought was just from, entering those properties over the last, couple months that we've owned the Caldwell building. It seems like it's easier to actually come off of West Broadway
Yeah.
into the Caldwell building than waiting at that intersection
Yeah.
to take the left onto Londonderry. There's a lot of tractor trailer
Yeah.
trucks that come that way. So the thought was come in through West Broadway and then exit through Londonderry Road. There's much less traffic, and then from there, take a left or a right on 102. And,
That makes sense, because that does get congestion, Londonderry Road 102 does get congestion at various times.
yeah.
So, now what would be typically the hours of work for these people? Is it the same
Yeah, it would
every
be-
once a week?
Yeah, once a week, they, 7 o'clock they start, and then usually some people leave by 3, 4, or 5 o'clock.
Yeah, the busy time gets kind of busy, so you'll have a way to get into traffic and leave.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds fine. You answered my questions. Thank you.
Okay, I think it's probably will be essential to work with any abutters or especially the neighbors. They could be helpful, but they also could be a big thorn in your side. So work with them. And the other is work with our staff. And I think first of all, we have to find out what's conforming, what's non-conforming, and then what's going to be needed for, if any, variances. That's really the first part of it. But work with staff, they'll help you through the process. That's even before it comes, probably what we'll need is another conceptual discussion once you have the variances you need to do what you want to do. And any questions of us?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have is a conceptual discussion for a site plan and subdivision to construct a 30,000 plus or minus square foot office building and associated site improvements. Michael's Way, tax map 10, lot 41, zoned agricultural residential 1, and Woodmont Plan Unit Development, Pillsbury Realty Development LLC, the owner, and Nickerson Design LLC is the applicant. And this is conceptual. It's really designed for an exchange back and forth between the applicant and the board to sort things out so that we're on the same wavelength. And just introduce yourselves, gentlemen, for our records, please. I recognize you, but we have a formality, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name's Chris Nickerson with Nickerson Designs, and I'm joined here with Bob Duval from TF Moran.
Welcome.
Well, thanks so much for having us tonight, and thanks, Kelly, for working with us so graciously on this project. I think just to sort of walk things back, it's probably about 2 years ago now, we were here in front of this board for the first site that we had developed in the Woodmont Commons development. That's at 50 Michael's Way. It's a building that we opened at the beginning of May of this year. And credit to the board in the planning process. That site, certainly aesthetically, all the feedback that we've gotten has been incredibly positive. But clinically and as a business unit, that site's been a knock it out of the park home run. We've not gotten enough good things said about it constantly from each of the practices in there, whether they were in Londonderry previously or whether it's a new location for them. Every single one of them has said that that location and what we're doing there has just been knock it out of the park home run. So you know, credit to the board to having sort of the foresight to see what sort of an active, vibrant downtown style community looks like. Other things I'd just sort of touch on in terms of the first site or context to what we're doing here over on the intersection of Main Street and Woodmont Ave is that street parking. Folks obviously who've driven by our first site have seen, and quite honestly, it surprised us greatly how much not only do people like using the street, we encourage them to use it, but they actually like using street parking. It's perceived as a benefit to folks who work there and the greater community. The other big thing that we're seeing feedback-wise is that folks really like the walkability of the community. The idea that at lunchtime, you know, you could go for a walk. Obviously, down the road, there'll be restaurants, hospitality services, that kind of stuff. It's perceived as a benefit for folks who work there, like an amenity. In quite honestly, in today's employment environment, it makes it easier to attract talent, which just sort of builds upon the success of the community. Putting things into context, the first building that we did on site was 42,000 square feet. The site that we're talking, and that's obviously on Michael's Way and just near Main Street, not actually on Main Street. And I'm showing that in the red right here. The subject site that we're talking about tonight is 30,000 square feet, and I'm showing it in the green right here. And the site sits at the corner, very corner intersection of Main Street on one end and then Woodmont Ave on the other. And again, to put it into context, if you pulled to the end of Main Street, 603 is on your right, there's some Jersey barriers, you look straight across, and basically what you're looking at is a dirt pile right now. So obviously previously developed site, not a lot of ecological value, not many abutter issues either. I would say we're in a pretty friendly, pro-development community.
You're building at the right time.
That's it. And, just to sort of touch on, I guess, the economic development part of things, I had watched the board meeting, this was probably a couple months back, where Kevin had given an update on, what the status of Woodmont is, past projects, future projects. Obviously, we're here talking about future projects, but when it comes to economic development, to sort of drive things home, I paid our July real estate tax bill for building number 1, and it's by no means a complaint, just a statement, but that bill was just about $90,000. So the total annual nut there is about $180,000. And that's real economic development, real tax dollars being generated from what's going on here, going to sort of alleviate, you folks, the citizens of the tax burden you have in the community. So that's sort of, I guess, the high-level part of the discussion. Honing down on what in particular we're doing on this site, certainly process-wise, we're working through each of the various boards. We've been to Conservation Commission, received some pretty minor comments from them about a month ago. Been to Heritage Commission, received some comments from them that we've integrated into a couple of slip sheets that we'd given Kelly earlier in the week. Some of the comments that they had sort of asked for, at least on the architectural side, was, one, kind of backing things up, at least feedback-wise. We've obviously received good feedback aesthetically about the first project that we did. The one item that we had feedback-wise was that folks were looking for more brick. So very, very similar building, size, scale-wise to what we did initially, a little bit smaller and a lot more brick. Second thing that we've sort of incorporated is to make the building a little bit more traditional style than maybe the first building that we did out there. And then third things that we've done is, based on feedback from Heritage Commission, we've incorporated some arched windows into the north facade of the building. And then also on the west facade, and this would be the facade that faces Woodmont Ave. The idea being that on both of those facades, they have the most street exposure, meaning to Main Street and to Woodmont Ave. So we've dressed those up. Also based on feedback from Heritage Commission, we've eliminated a couple of parking spots. The rendering doesn't perfectly show it, but you can see in plan view. A couple of parking spots we've eliminated on the corner of Woodmont Ave and Main Street. Again, the idea being that there'd just be a little bit better street presentation, curb appeal to what we're doing there. Beyond that, like I said before, just really, really been happy with obviously the first project that we've done. We like to get this one moving as quickly as possible. And, I don't want to make Bob's job too easy for him, but we're trying to do the right things, get all the comment on the front end so that when it comes to sort of formal approval side, we've really checked all the boxes and done all our homework on the front end. And that's why we're here tonight, happy to receive any comments and continue to incorporate them into our plans.
Okay. I'll start with our able staff and then go to the board. Kelly?
Sure. So, Chris did a great job summarizing kind of where we are currently and how we got here, but I'll just reiterate that I've had several very positive, good, productive conversations with the applicant. They've done a great job incorporating the comments they've received so far. We're in the process of wrapping up our technical review comments and getting those to the applicant in short order. So I anticipate hopefully a smooth process continuing and likely a formal application to this board soon.
Okay. I'll start.
Can we just request the map that he, just so that we can see what, that, I might have a
Can you
question
get
based on
that
that. so.
Oh.
working? or
Yeah,
no?
well, no,
Just
where
with
it
the-
is.
Oh, you
Oh,
can't
yes,
get it with
sorry,
the
my
plan,
apologies.
okay.
It's not in the packet, so I just,
Yep.
Did you
So
send-
our first site is in the red right here, 603, and then green is the.
Can you bring it over?
proposed site, of course.
You're looking at Baldwin from Woodmont, from Michael's Way, it's directly to the right.
It's right on the outside, okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay.
What- So it's right here?
Yeah. I was thinking it was more there, so.
Yeah.
Is that-
I'm good.
anybody want- okay. Thank you.
Start with Roger. We'll go this way.
I just had a question that, I watched the other building being built and it did, now that's the bricks are put on. How long do they last?
So like the first building's thin brick, so
Yes.
it is a brick. It's the
It's a brick
same
itself,
as a
yeah.
full brick.
Yeah,
It's
right.
literally just sliced. And the first building, it has like almost like a hanger style system. It's a piece of mesh that goes on and then there's a hook that sits behind it. So the useful lifespan of that is just the same as a regular brick or a full brick would be. It's just, obviously in today's labor environment, it's a lot more economical and a lot faster to use more of a manufactured product.
And that'll go on this new building
Yeah,
probably?
something very, very similar.
Okay, so it does have a good lifetime.
Yes, yep.
I'm fine.
All set? Jason?
I like it. Is this also the intention to also be a medical?
Yes, correct. And apologize for not clarifying that, but yeah, essentially more of the same. So broad strokes between, I guess, what I would call good demographics in the community, meaning, population growth, good economics, combined with an aging population that we're seeing across the state. There's just a huge need for more specialty services in not only in Londonderry, but quite frankly, all of southern New Hampshire.
That was
You
it.
have to remember, we're the 6th oldest state in the country, so.
Mr. Chair, you said that, not me, so.
Nothing wrong with old.
No, we're.
Just saying.
We still think we're young, you know? We're trying to be like Jake, you know?
And doing our best to drive the young people away every day.
Yeah, your turn, Jake.
I think back to your first building, when that came about, we talked a lot of that building would set kind of the precedent for an expectation of what we look like, or would like things to look like. I think you put up a beautiful building. I get compliments on it almost every day. I'm sure you're getting the same thing. I think it has set the kind of the standard for what we want for Woodmont, and, this building is emulating a lot of that. I think it looks really good.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing it come further along in the process.
All set?
I'm good.
Al?
Yeah, I like what I see too. The only question I would have is, have you considered or do you think there might be need just for a dedicated parking spot marked that way for an ambulance?
Do we have that, Bob?
We don't have one marked, but.
That's something certainly we can incorporate. So we have it on our first site, and something we're happy to incorporate on the second site here.
Yeah, knowing medical buildings and what I've seen with medical buildings, yeah, sooner or later, they're gonna be there.
Yeah,
That's all I have.
That's an understatement, so.
What do you plan to be your main entrance on?
So it's, at least picture-wise,
Yeah.
it's this one here with the covered
Okay.
canopy.
Yep.
And that's on plan view,
Yep.
faces the main parking.
Main section of the
field.
parking lot?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Beautiful.
There is a marked ambulance space in the plan. It's upper left corner of the building.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Lynn?
No, I think it's a good project. I'm just very happy to see something going in. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Tony?
So, I know this is conceptual, but I like the mullions in the windows, whether they're real or not, doesn't really matter. I think that tones down the industrial commercial look and gives it the more homey apple look, for lack of a better term. So hopefully that will actually be in, you know, in your list of scope and sequence of, you know, what you're gonna do. There was mention, one of you said something about you took parking out. Where did you take parking out, and who told you to do that?
So we had received feedback from Heritage Commission, just to improve the aesthetics. Essentially, if I were pulling down Main Street and stopping at the intersection of Main and Woodmont Ave, just the very front corner of the building, so the most, yeah, right where Kelly has the hand there. I think we gave up half a dozen spots there.
3 spaces. 3 spaces. And overall, just as a point of information, the plan shows more parking than required by zoning, and that's due to the tenant's concern for having adequate parking.
Yeah, so we as a user use much more parking than what the zoning ordinance, whether it was in Londonderry or pretty much any community, requires. So it's a user requirement. Our goal is to have 5 per 1,000 or 1 per 200 spaces on site, which is driven really by us and just what we know historical usage is, not by the municipality zoning ordinance.
So I'm gonna elicit my own personal bias here. I'm not speaking for anyone else on the board but myself. I'm not speaking for staff. But you understand that Heritage, when they make those comments, those are advisory only. You're aware of that,
Yes.
okay? I'm a parking guy. I'm a space guy. I've been here since 1978. I've seen projects that skinny down their parking, and it's now a problem that you can't put back. In this case, that little green space looks beautiful. It does. But at the expense of 6 parking spaces that you may or may not need, but I would rather see parking there, or at least put half of them back, rather than have the whole thing green. I don't think it's necessary. You have plenty of green, and because I personally would rather see, even though people like the spots on the street, I would much rather see them in the parking lot rather than out on the street, personally. That's one person's opinion. I know you have way more parking than you need, but that's my opinion.
So just clarification, I misspoke. Bob had indicated to me it was 3 parking spots that we lost.
Okay. I
but
thought
that-
it was 6.
That being said, though, we're sort of, with respect to this particular thing, somewhat agnostic about it. What would be helpful on our end is if it's all right, if we could sort of like poll the board. We're happy to do whatever's the pleasure of the board. It's just for us, we sort of hear, essentially hear one thing and hear another thing.
Absolutely.
We just want to give some direction to Bob to say, let's pick a path and kind of run with
Yeah,
it.
so the planning board is the one that makes the decisions.
Of course, right?
Yeah,
So-
it's the entire board, so it's.
So, and
we
again,
vote on
I'm
it,
speaking
so.
as just me, I'm not speaking for the board or anybody else. So that's a beautiful little spot, but I would rather have parking spots, personally. And I think if that's only 3, you still have a spot on that corner that you can plant. Because the parking, if there's only 3, I'm just doing a quick measurement with my little hand thingy here. 1, 2, 3, you can still green up that corner and put some nice plantings and make it look nice. And
I don't think
still
we're
have
gonna
the 3
quibble about
spots.
parking spaces. Usually the criticism I get, we have too much asphalt in town, and
Right.
people would like to see more green.
I understand.
But,
Perhaps just a consensus of the board on the parking,
Yeah, another question too before we go to that.
Yes, Kelly?
just for the applicant's benefit, a consensus of the board? No?
If I could just
Raise of
add
hands or something?
add the numbers, I think that might help the board. I think there's 117 required spaces by zoning, and 150, well, originally 156, now 153 shown. And that's about 5 per thousand at, at 30,000 feet.
Okay,
I have a question before we.
I haven't had a chance to speak,
yeah,
so,
okay, I'll get through the board before do a poll on this.
yeah.
Okay,
Why don't you
Lynn,
finish?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
I have a couple of issues, but things that are easy to fix. When I was going to the old Dairy Medical Center on Buttrick Road, was it Buttrick? Buttrick Road. I heard complaints about the parking. Because you only had 2 handicap parking spots, and they weren't at the entrance. They were farther down the sidewalk to the entrance. People had physical therapy. I was going to physical therapy there, and there are other people with walkers, with crutches, whatever. So when you build the medical buildings, please think of the handicap. Have more handicap parking spots at the main doors or wherever the people are going to enter, not just 2 because they fill up quickly if you have those kind of services in it. The other one is I'm not thrilled about taking away any landscaping at the entrance, because I can imagine if I was there backing up when somebody was coming in to that, to the entrance on the left side there. If you take away the bushes and put parking spots there, they'll be, more closer to an accident when somebody coming in and somebody backing up trying to leave. Also, I did want to mention, I had an issue with the trucks coming in to dump the trash. They pick up the large, metal boxes there. And there was 2 of them at the existing one, and it blocks the roadway. The way they have to back into it from the roadway that goes along the back side of the building. I'm not talking within the parking lot, but outside. They back in there and they cut off that exit with the truck when they do one, and then they go and do the other. And I'm not sure how busy it's going to be over here, but you might want to think of that when you are locating. I think those are dumpsters on either corner.
Motorcycle parking on the right, dumpster on the left.
What?
It's the white square is
Yeah.
motorcycle parking
Okay.
on the right, and the left white square is a dumpster.
The left one's the dumpster?
Upper
Okay.
left.
Okay, well, just think about that. A question for the design of it, just because I'm seeing the building for the first time here with stone on it. The gray, what is that material on the trim, for the trim?
The trim of the windows?
So it's
yeah,
like similar to the first building we did. It's not granite, but it's a granite-like material.
Okay.
That it sits on the header of the window and then on the sill of.
No, I'm talking about the top of the building and
It's a molding detail. In the pictures that when we render or print them, the colors don't necessarily print perfectly to what's will be constructed.
But it's a similar look to that.
Yeah,
It's
correct.
not going to be white, it's going to be some type of light gray and a darker gray for the pillars?
More on the white scale than on
Okay.
the gray.
Okay, I was just curious. No, I think it's a very nice design. You simplified it, and I think it looks, very more traditional, but it'll stand the test of time as far as design.
Thank you.
And it is on 0 elevation, or approximately. Thank you very much.
okay, Lynn,
Yeah, so I had a question. Across the street, across Woodmont Ave, there's a large parking lot, and I don't know if that is owned by 603 Brewery. I know it went in at the same point in time. So is that designated as like general parking for whatever
It's
use?
part of the shared parking overall.
Shared parking overall?
Anybody could park there.
So I think, kind of talking to Tony's comment, I think there's need for additional parking. I think a crosswalk might be appropriate at some point in time across from that building into that parking lot, just for people who want to park there, but that's good, thank you.
okay, so we need to resolve those 3 parking spaces.
I
So,
will yield my comment, Mr. Chair. I didn't realize there was shared parking available.
Okay.
And I would agree, if in fact it is, then there needs to be a sidewalk.
Okay, so we're sticking with the plan presented here tonight. And I really don't have anything to add, other than I think it's a beautiful design. It's timeless, it's really, I think it speaks well to Londonderry, it's got class, it's got style, and I think it'll withstand the old buildings, the test of time. So. And you'll see other buildings in town like it, I'm sure.
Goes in the lookbook.
Yes, I think it was one of the most photographed between the Heritage Commission and the Planning Board for the Londonderry Lookbook. Or maybe he's deserving an architectural award.
No, we're, I mean, I would continue to reiterate that, you know, I think for the community and probably folks who might be watching at home, what's happened at Woodmont's obviously been sort of a long cycle, but it's proof of concept to, if you have the right goal in mind, over a period of time, you know, something really, really good comes to fruition. So, and I think we're just starting to sort of see the bud of that coming out right now.
So you don't have any abundance to worry about, so I guess it's just to keep the powers that be at Woodmont happy.
Does this take up most of the lot there?
Well,
I'm-
you go ahead, Bob, sorry.
Yeah, there's
There's no lot line, so I'm just curious.
there's a, well, of course, the Woodmont as a whole is, you know, hundreds of acres. There is a carve-out, that's the blue line, that's about 2.2 acres for this particular property, to sell this particular property. So if that answers your question, there's a 2.12
Yeah.
acre lot that will be created for this,
Oh, within that?
within the overall PUD.
Just like the first medical building they did. They subdivided that chunk.
There's nothing between this building and 93?
There is, behind, there,
There's-
where you see that little
Yeah.
gravel path
Yeah,
back there.
there's an
And the
access
reason actually for that access road that's being built by this project to the right is to provide access to the back where there's, you know, there's been talk about putting some kind of a development back there for some time.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you.
This is only the second building in the sub-area, WC2.
Yep.
The first one was the Baldwin, and this is the second.
Progressive.
Yeah.
So you have any questions of us?
No, thank you very much, and very much appreciate the compliments about first building. And, you know, they say, what, imitation's the highest form of flattery, so we hope we'll have a little more of that moving forward.
Yeah, that speaks everything, you know, when people copy you, you know.
So thanks again for your time, and we look forward to working with Kelly and being back here pretty quick.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, any other business?
I have a question. Why am I not seeing the minutes? What am I not looking at that I can't find the minutes?
There,
It's PB 0705A.
Two of them on the bottom?
The
two
bottom
files,
two,
the bottom two?
if you're in August 9, 2023 in the PB folder.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, the only thing I'll just reiterate again, October 11th, 5:30 PM, we're meeting with our town attorney, so
Okay, October.
Megan Carrier. So there'll be introduction, and it'll probably be educational for her and us. And she's quite qualified, from what I understand, so. So, seeing nothing, I'll.
Motion to adjourn, Mr.
Motion to
Chairman.
adjourn by Al.
Second.
Oh,
no,
Deputy Jason.
Roger.
I didn't say a word here. I'm not poking.
Am I voting tonight?
You're not a voting member.
I can't vote. You have to take my place quick.
So it's your awesome responsibility, Jason. The
I'll
second.
take it. I'll take the second.
Okay, second by Jason. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.